Gotcha! Thought I was wasting water? Ha! That's funny. You know it's not a joke, you silly goose. Did you know that AI data centers use up to 5 gallons of water every single day? Well, pardon my French, but that is ludicrous. So what's the solution? AI bad? Exterminate AI? Well, it's a little more complicated than that, folks. So grab a drink and let's talk about it. It's nice and comfy there. Hello, how are you? How's it hanging? Today I brought you here to talk about your favorite topic of today's world, which is AI, and your second favorite topic of today's world, which is climate change. I'm going to be talking about how they kind of directly affect each other. So come along on my journey of researching AI, how it affects climate change, and what maybe you and I can do about that. So, this project originally started with me wanting to interview some of my friends, talk about what they thought about AI, what they thought about climate change, how they felt personally affected by it, and how much they think they contribute to that, and kind of assessing my own use of AI to kind of calculate how the average consumer contributes to that. I did get some interesting conversations out of these interviews. I was able to talk to some of my friends about their thoughts on AI, how AI has been implemented into some of their workplaces, some of their personal lives, and just have conversations that I've not gotten to have about it yet.
I guess my biggest complaint is just how unnecessary it is, and then just how much I feel like it's being pushed. Personally, I don't like AI. I don't use it willingly. And the fact that I just feel like it's being pushed in every aspect now, like social media, simple, generic, you can't even Google anything anymore without it being AI. Like Snapchat has AI, Instagram has AI, everything's AI. I personally feel like humans are very creative, smart, and funny. And I feel like we're just I don't want to say dumbing ourselves down, but I feel like we are. We're dumbing ourselves down and taking probably a lazier route. And it's maybe faster, yeah, but at what cost?
I got a new perspective on AI from one of my friends, Andrew. He's a business major, and he talked about how he uses AI to kind of build his career and learn more about his career.
In order to break into the banking industry, I've been using it to speed up my learning with banking. So eventually, at some point, I'll be able to do Excel spreadsheets on my own. But right now, I'm using AI to help me guide me and use it as a learning tool.
On the other side of the coin, I got people who feel very strongly against AI. I typically fall under this umbrella, so it was nice to hear a positive spin to it, someone who actually uses it as a resource and benefits from it. I also had some interesting discussions about climate change.
With my job, I do pretty much work completely outside. So, I've noticed, obviously it's very hot. This year, we've had a big drought since April. Living near Lake Norman, I've noticed the lake has substantially dropped. Now, there's a lot of rocks in the lake. It's very unsafe to go boating. You can't really go paddle boarding. It's just very hard.
A couple of my friends actually lived in Boone during Hurricane Helene, something that I did not witness at all.
For me, I was pretty privileged because I lived on the side of campus that was not only newer, but my dorm was up on a hill. But I had windows that pointed towards the other side of campus that was farther down, and it had the older buildings that weren't built to withstand something like that. I watched the roads flood. I saw everything was covered in mud and trees. Our science building got completely flooded. I had peers and employers who had lost their houses.
I mean, a lot of people didn't have flood insurance. I mean, no one's gonna buy it here. It didn't happen in the past 20 years or whatever. And unfortunate stuff happened, and a lot of people lost their homes and lost their cars.
I remember vividly going into the dining hall, and there were people there with their screaming babies and things like that because they had nowhere else to go and nowhere else to get food because everywhere else was either shut down or the grocery stores were destroyed or there was no internet to process transactions.
I would hear things here and there from people that would come into my job back home, but I never got to hear stories as in detail as I got to with some of these interviews from some of my friends. It kind of gave me a different perspective on how climate change affects people on the daily. In the course I'm taking right now, I've talked about a couple of times how I'm not very well versed in climate change. It's my least knowledgeable topic in my brain. I think sometimes when these storms and disasters happen, I don't automatically think about climate change, and that's just lack of education on my part. So having some of these conversations really put that in perspective for me. There are things that are making these things happen. When it came to figuring out how much AI directly affects climate change, it was a little difficult. Did find some resources. The main article I went off of for a lot of these things was an article I found by State of the Planet. It's called AI's Growing Carbon Footprint, and it was written by Renee Cho. In it, it states that AI data centers are responsible for about 2 to 4% of greenhouse gas emissions on the planet. A few other statistics that stood out to me was a single AI search emits anywhere between 0.03 to 5 grams of carbon. To put that in perspective, a car emits 4.6 tons of carbon every year, and I did do the math on this. That'd be equivalent to 12,603 grams a day by cars. ChatGPT alone is estimated to have 2 billion AI searches done on it every single day. So to do the math on that and compare, on the low end, that's about 60 million grams of carbon every day by ChatGPT searches alone. On the high end, that's 10 billion grams every single day. A single AI search also uses anywhere between 0.26 to 5 milliliters of water. That's about a quarter of a cup. Do the same math on that times 2 billion. That is about 31,250,000 gallons of water every single day. These are some scary statistics, and it might lead you to think that my entire conclusion is we need to eradicate AI. That is the only answer here. However, one of the most difficult parts of this project has been the part where I decide to avoid AI for a single day. AI has been implemented into almost all of our social media. It's been implemented in a lot of people's workplaces, mine included. It's in Google. It's in almost every other search engine. It's in restaurants. It's in drive-through speakers. It's almost everywhere. I found in a general sense to avoid AI for a single day just meant to go completely non-digital, which I did take advantage of that. I think a big thing I learned doing this is that rather than preaching that we need to get rid of AI and refuse to use it at any capacity, it's almost unrealistic at this point with the extent it has expanded in our world. I think an important part of this entire conversation is to go out in nature, get off of our phones, and kind of look at the world around us and be a part of it rather than looking at it through a screen. Another thing that I found to embrace was my love for physical media. People forget that you don't have to use digital devices to watch movies or TV. I am thankful to have my VCR from my childhood as well as a couple of others. One thing I actually wanted to add here was about browsers and how AI has been implemented into them. I actually went into the Google settings to try and turn off the AI overview. You can't do that in Google. I did some research to try and find other browsers that I could download or just use on the internet that don't utilize AI. I found one called DuckDuckGo, downloaded it to my computer. I opened up the app that is marketed for no AI, and one of the first things it offered me was to use AI. It was called Duck AI. Fortunately, you can go into DuckDuckGo and turn off their AI feature. So that is an option as well if trying to avoid AI. I just thought it was crazy that the first screen they showed me says no AI at the very top, and as soon as I go and ask a question in the browser, it gives me a search assist, and I have to go into their settings to turn it off. The same article I got all those scary statistics from as well also brought to my attention the ways that AI can kind of help us combat climate change. It can help us anticipate our climate, help develop materials that are better for our environment, and overall just help us conduct research on the entire situation faster than the problem is actually progressing.
But I mean, like, I know implications of it. I don't know how much water it goes through per conversation you have with GPT, but there are negative impacts. So I feel like the biggest solution to it is finding the positive impacts and how you can turn those negative impacts, like, global warming, how it boils water per time you use it. Obviously, you put that to scale, and that's a pretty serious ordeal. When you take AI and it's bad, then you have to start taking people to look at how to fix the bad and turn it into something, possibly positive.
I think I, more than anyone, expected me to come out of this hating AI more than I already did, but I think with some of the perspectives I got from other people and just that bit of research made me realize that it's not an all or nothing solution, as almost nothing is. Does AI contribute a little too much to climate change? Yes. Should we minimize our use of AI? Yes. I think there's a lot of misuse of AI. A big reason I'm so passionate about not misusing AI is because of a lot of these statistics. Also because of my major, I am very passionate about creativity and the arts. However, I am learning that it's a lot more about conversation. It's a lot more about awareness, a lot more about education. Because AI, as learned through some of this research, AI is a tool. We just need to start using it as a tool and be more responsible with it.